Right, welcome everyone, and thank you for coming to the American Wine Society Educational Foundation's annual business meeting this Thursday, November 5th, 2020, during the pandemic. We don't have scrambled eggs and muffins today to give you, but we really appreciate your coming anyway. We'll see you next year in Atlantic City for that. So I'm going to call our meeting to order now. It is 7:06. I have Eastern Time. And we have the agenda that we distributed to everyone. If there are any additional agenda items, because we're in a different format, please put those in the Q&A or the chat, and we have somebody who's checking on those for now. Next thing I'd like to do is introduce the AWSEF trustees, starting with me. Next slide. There. You're used to seeing Bonnie Lance. Wait a minute, go back. You're used to seeing Bonnie Lance in this position, but Bonnie has a new baby. She has a new job with a startup company, which is a lot of hours, and a baby who doesn't sleep. And now, thanks to the way of the world right now, no daycare available. She felt sometime this summer that it was going to be overwhelming and she wouldn't be able to keep doing the same fantastic job she'd been doing for us as our president. And so as executive vice president, I stepped up. And luckily, the board unanimously voted me in. So now I'm president. And next we have Larry Jackson. He's our secretary. Larry has been with us on the board for 3 years now, Larry. And next, we have Walt Raquelli, our treasurer, who's been with us longer than anybody else can remember. And next, Bonnie Lance, our vice president for private development now. So we're so thankful that Bonnie decided to stay on the board with us and is doing this because she's been so instrumental in getting us to where we've gotten the last number of years. And next we have Christine Murphy, our vice president for corporate development. She's been with us for 3 years now too, and generally runs our silent auction, but didn't happen this year. So get ready for next year. Our silent auction is probably gonna be better than it's ever been before. Okay, and then we have next is Holly Tillis. She's our newest member of the board, and when I stepped into the president position, she offered to take over scholarships, which I'm very thankful for. I think she's going to do a fantastic job with that. And then we have Eric, our general counsel. We really appreciate Eric's input when we have questions about, can we do that or not? And he helps us out there. Okay, I think, what's next? Next, and Danny. Danny, I didn't mean to not include you. Of course, the AWS president, who right now is Joe Brodsky, is also a board member. But Danny Klein was our board member for 4 years, enjoyed working with us. He's a wonderful promoter for us. Didn't have the time in his schedule to continue to be a trustee, but we made him trustee emeritus, and now he's got to keep up with us and continue helping us out. So thanks for doing that, Danny. We appreciate everybody. Everybody on the board is fantastic to work with. The next item on our agenda is our secretary's report, and I'm going to turn it over to Larry Jackson to go over our minutes for that. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. And once we drop that slide, you'll see me. But you can hear me, I think. Good evening, everyone. I'm Larry Jackson, the Secretary to the Foundation Board. My report tonight is the minutes of the Foundation membership meeting, which was held November 2nd, 2019 at the AWS Annual Conference in St. Pete Beach, Florida. By being members of American Wine Society, you're automatically also a member of the Educational Foundation, so you get the minutes. You received a copy of the minutes plus the treasurer's reports, which you'll soon also need. It was emailed from Kristen Lindelow, the Foundation president. It was emailed Tuesday, 3 November at 2:43 p.m., if that'll help you find it. My only item of business this evening is to get these minutes approved by the membership, which is you. By the way, these minutes have already been proofread by the Foundation Board. So unless there is a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes, I'll be glad to read them to you in my characteristic monotone. Please use the chat window activated by the so labeled button at the side of the bottom of the Zoom screen to make any statement. Okay, we have a so moved, and a bunch of seconds are showing up. Very good. So it's moved and seconded. So all in favor of the motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes, please chat aye or yes or something positive. Okay, and we'll watch those scroll. Boy, a lot of people want out of the minutes. All right, seeing no nays yet, let's just say that the motion is carried. And that concludes my portion of the presentation. The next presenter is Walt Raquelli, the Foundation Treasurer. There is no need at this point to adjust your video. He has indeed shaved off his famous mustache. Thank you.
And now so y'all can tell it's me. I put my glasses on. Now I got to take them off because I can't read with them on. You've all looked over the financial reports, I'm sure, and fell asleep to them in the last couple of days. I see we already have a movement to dispense with the reading of the treasurer's report. Do I have a second? Second, and a move to approve and chat and say yes, aye, whichever. I think we ought to do this more often. This is faster than we get it done at conference. I would like to make one other comment that we have continued so far this year to operate at only 6% of our funds go toward operating expenses, things we can't get away with like insurance and a website are major costs for administrative overhead. But nothing else. There's no other questions. I'm going to turn it over now to Danny Klein, our trustee emeritus, to talk about the raffle update. Danny?
Unmute. Can anybody see me?
I can't see you yet, but
Somebody's got to turn it in.
Yeah, your video at the bottom left.
Got it.
There we go. Thanks, Danny.
Am I in? Okay, good. Well, welcome everybody. Very excited. I'm sorry that we're not in Seattle. I really wanted to be there. Would have been a great time as always. But I want to thank everybody for joining us, and hopefully it'll be a good week of virtual wine tasting. I have my Camus Sauvignon Blanc with me now. The raffle. The good news is that we've been raffling for a little over a month now, and we've got about probably a little over $5,000 worth. Now our goal this year is $7,000 because that's what we typically make, around $7,000 to $8,000 at the silent auction. And since we're not going to have the silent auction this year, we have to make it up because we have these scholarships to give out, and we're good. So I sent out an email to everybody. It came from either Dave or Jay earlier today. So if you need the information, it's all in there. We'll be open. We'll be taking ticket purchases till midnight tonight. But again, if you throw one in tomorrow or something like that, if you forget tonight and do it tomorrow, we might accept it. And we're going to be drawing, I believe, at the banquet on Saturday night. So it's a 5-liter bottle. It's really big. It's almost 7 bottles of wine. So you can make a lot of new friends or pacify your old friends. It'll good. In fact, I even found a special glass for the bottle. So anybody, whoever wins it can always invite me over. I'll be glad to come. So they try to get your tickets in by midnight though. So right now, also we have a chapter competition. The chapter that leads and has the most tickets, buys the most tickets, will get a 3-liter bottle of Chateau Ste. Michelle Canoe Ridge 2011 Cabernet Sauvignon. So right now, Southeast Huntsville, North Carolina Triangle, and Virginia No Loco are in the lead, but another chapter could surpass them and get that bottle, and you can share it with your whole chapter. So thank you very much. Again, enjoy the virtual conference, and see you in Atlantic City. I'll be doing a presentation, hopefully in the next couple months, on New Jersey wines to get us excited about Atlantic City. And I'll send it back over to you, Walt. Thanks.
Okay, I guess the host doesn't want to see my ugly mug. Okay.
We got you now, Walt. Thanks.
Okay. I'm looking forward to sharing that bottle with you, Danny. Fully funded scholarships for 2021, that's next year. Currently, Cleveland, Ohio, Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, and North Alabama have fully funded scholarships. We expect one from Banffy, and there are 3 or 4 other chapters that are just bubbling under that will probably be fully funded by the end of the year. We do try to have our scholarships funded by December 31st so that we don't have to worry or scramble in the new year. But that's where we're at. And now Holly is going to tell you about who won this year.
Thank you, Walt. This year, from a number of qualified applicants, we are pleased to have awarded 7 scholarships totaling $24,500 to both PhD and master candidates across several North American universities. These are based on their academic merits as well as their commitment to advancing grape growing and wine development. This year's recipients are Clarissa Reyes, a master's candidate at the University of California, Davis, Eva Zigg and Sarah Lyons, both of whom are master's candidates at the University of British Columbia, Andrew Harner, a previous scholarship recipient who is also a PhD candidate at Penn State University, Andréanne Hérbert-Haché, another previous winner and a PhD candidate at Brock University, Ontario, Liza Sosa Moreira, a PhD candidate at the University of Minnesota, and Kim Fan, a PhD candidate at Oregon State University. It is our pleasure to be able to support this diverse and inspirational group of academics. So once again, please, please, please donate. Please buy a raffle ticket while you still can. There's still time. If you already have donated, thank you. We cannot wait to see the impact that these individuals will have on the North American wine industry and beyond. And now Kristen has the distinct pleasure to introduce to you the 2 recipients who have received multiple awards.
Thank you, Holly. Now, I'd like to introduce Andréanne, who is at Brock University in Ontario, working on her PhD. She received a scholarship award a year or 2 years ago. Students are allowed to receive 2 in their career. And Andrew Harner, who's a PhD candidate at Penn State University, also received 1 previously, so his second one. And they both agreed to do a chat with us. I'd like you all to meet them. Andréanne and Andrew, we put your video on and we can see you.
They're on.
They're on? Okay, I don't see it. Oh, so we talked about a couple of different things, and I said rather than us talking about their research, which is really interesting, honestly, we can watch that on the video that's going to be published on our Facebook page and on our website tomorrow. It's ready to go, and it'll give you a lot more of the detailed information about the research that they're working on. But I wanted to know a little bit more about them, besides their transcripts and their research. So, Andrea, if you'd like to go first, give me an idea. When did you first discover wine?
Okay, so I discovered wine
I went to hospitality school. I did a few jobs after basically high school in Quebec. In where I come from, it's a different system for school, but I discovered wine through hospitality school, if you want. I was working in the restaurant industry. I was looking to get more responsibility, and I discovered wine through these classes that just introduce us to, you know, service and then wine and just many aspects of the hospitality industry. And I really got hooked. Like, I was very fascinated by just the diversity of terroir and just all the influence that can come in like a wine bottle. And I had done all my science class and I had never used them, and then realized that there was enology and viticulture Bachelor of Science that existed. So as soon as I discovered that, I jumped and I went that route. So that's my introduction to wine and studying wine.
Thank you. Drew, when did you discover wine?
It was, I would say in my undergrad. Both my family has experience with plant production in terms of greenhouse and fruit production, and I was always interested in plant science. And I applied to Cornell, and I went there for my undergrad. And my first freshman summer, I was trying to find a job, and there was a position with the Cornell Research Extension Group out in Eastern Long Island for their viticulture group, working with vineyards as on the North and South Fork, for those of you who are knowledgeable at that area. And I think I'd always been interested in fruit production and studying fruit. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do tree fruit or, you know, berries or something like that. But I think spending that summer and just working with researchers who were really just embedded in the industry, and then who were really good at connecting me with growers, and then all the growers who were willing to walk me through their vineyards and just talk about why they grew grapes, why they really enjoyed it. And just like Andréanne said, like just all the science behind it, I just was totally hooked from that point on. And then when I went back to Cornell that following semester, decided to also do a dual major in viticulture as well. And then from that point on, I've just been working with grapes. So it's been a couple of years at this point, but yeah, that's where it all started.
Super. So at what point did you decide it was time to work towards a PhD? Andréanne, you want to start with us?
Sure. I did my undergraduate degree at Brock University as well. So in the enology and viticulture degree. And we have a co-op program where we just get to do many work terms and try different aspects of the wine industry. So my very first work term was a research term. So a research with the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs. And I did a project with Wendy McFadden-Smith, she's a grape pest researcher. And I did an internship with her on researching integrated pest management techniques to fight sour rot. And it was, I loved it too much. I wanted her job like right away, not in pest management, more in other maybe topic of viticulture, but I knew that the research aspect was gonna be my path, because I just love to be able to work with the growers and to solve problems and to just help them to be kind of at their service, to just tackle the challenge that they see in their field and just be helpful in general. So I knew I had to do a PhD to just pursue that path.
Excellent. And Drew, you got your master's first, right?
Yeah, that's right. Following graduating from Cornell, I came down to Penn State to work with actually the same advisor I'm with now, Michaela Centenari. She was actually teaching at Cornell when I was there, but I didn't know her at the time. But she had a position open, and it was looking at, I was with a project that was really focusing on aroma chemistry and like the relationships between environmental conditions within Pennsylvania, and really trying to figure out, when you grow the same variety across Pennsylvania, what contributes to maybe different aromatic and flavor qualities, from grapes from Northwest Pennsylvania to Southeast. So I did that project and just was really excited about it. And I think it generated more questions for me than really answers in terms of the topic and just the questions I had about grape production and viticulture, and particularly plant physiology. I've always been interested in kind of that. And I think, I got involved in other projects at the tail end of my master's program. And then I just thought I just wanted to do more research. I loved the team I was working with, and the industry has been really nice and hospitable. And I just think I couldn't really imagine doing anything else. And the idea of just pursuing a PhD and getting to really just dive into questions that are both applicable to the industry as well as exciting for me to pursue, I just think was like the greatest opportunity at that time. So yeah, I was excited for it.
Thank you. When you're not pursuing your studies, do you guys have certain hobbies or sports? Or I know Andréanne's got a new addition there that I think she's spending her time with. But do you want to start on this one?
Yeah, sure. So I'm an avid gardener, and I love cooking. So the last couple of years, having some background with plants and horticulture has helped. I have a pretty big vegetable garden, and I love buying all sorts of different seeds and getting them all started in the wintertime, and then just growing all sorts of different stuff. And then that's also turned into drying peppers and canning and things like that. So that's one thing I like. I've recently got into bird watching, which I had always been interested in, just being involved in the natural world. But I think, I'm sure as many of you can probably attest, being at home, you start to notice other things around the house that maybe you didn't notice when you were there before. So yeah, so that's become a hobby. And then, yeah, I love just being outside and hiking too. Central Pennsylvania is really pretty and there's lots of forests. So whenever I get the chance to be outside, I just pretty much take every opportunity that I can.
Oh, fun. And the leaves up there are just so incredibly beautiful right now.
Yeah, they really are.
Andréanne, can you tell us about what you do in your study time?
Yeah, as you'll see in the video I did in July, I was heavily pregnant. So right now, a lot of my hobby are taking care of a tiny baby, but I still study and write my thesis. So it's interesting. And when I'm not doing that, I cook a lot. I also really enjoy cooking. With the pandemic, like I think everybody picked up cooking, but I went really hardcore and started to make a lot of really complicated recipes like croissant and cinnamon bun. Maybe those were pregnancy craving, I don't know. But all these like very cool pastries, I've been enjoying working on that a lot. I'm getting pretty good. And I run a lot. So I'm happy. I just finally started back running like since giving birth. So I just got back into running, but I like running long distance. I find that's the thing that has been the most the best thing to manage my stress during my studies has been to do super long runs on Sunday and run as often as I can during the week. So I'm really proud. Last year in June, I did a 50-kilometer run. So I'm into those very So I really love like training for half marathon and marathon. So that's what I do, and I can.
Wow, super good for you. So you guys are approaching the end of your studies. What do you hope to do when you finally get that, that other piece of paper that says you've done it? Drew, you want to tell us?
Yeah, sure. I think I would really like to continue doing research. I've just been doing it for a while now, and I really like it. I love being in the university setting. But I think mostly I have my eye set, hopefully, on landing some kind of USDA research position at some research station, and just doing more applied physiological work and trying to answer questions for growers, while also trying to contribute to more knowledge about how grapevines function. And then especially in the Northeast, I love being in the Northeast too, so that would be ideal. But university track for sure is where I'm headed.
Super. A few of our former recipients over the years, because we've been giving scholarships since '94, are in very similar fields. And I love to see their names pop up in the wine news once in a while with, what's going on. Andrea, what are you going to do?
I'm really hoping to stay in research as well. I'm hoping to work for like Agriculture Canada or the Ministry of Agriculture in Quebec, which Quebec is the province where I'm from, and it's very cold climate. Like you probably all know where it is, I hope. Anyway, Northeast, and I'm really hoping to work there kind of in we could say like an extension position, so for a research center there, and help the grape growers in Quebec with the cold hardiness, because it's very cold there, and they want to grow more vinifera, and so there's a lot of good cold hardiness research to be done still there. So I'm really hoping I can go and help the industry and work on that. Fantastic.
So during your research, have there been any big surprises you found, or any huge disappointments that things just weren't? I know the spotted lanternfly, Drew, I know you're working with that, and I saw something here in Alabama recently about if you see any of these, you need to let the Agriculture Extension Office know. So they're moving in.
Yeah, they're everywhere, and they're just, you know, it just never stops. It just keeps on expanding, and that's probably to answer your question. That's really been probably the biggest surprise for me. I had a nice plan for my PhD and like a project, an overarching project with different components and this whole plan, and then a couple things. We had a really rainy harvest one year, followed by some pretty severe cold events that kind of just nipped some of my projects in the bud. And then the lanternfly appeared. So that has pretty much just sidelined a lot of things. And now I'm pretty much focusing on that. But, you know, I don't know, growing grapes in a cold, wet, humid climate always has surprises. So I think I've definitely learned to adapt to it. And I think even though it's been crazy at times, it's, you know, it's still working and it's been very successful so far.
Super. Andréanne, have you had any big surprises or big disappointments?
Well, no, never disappointing. It's never disappointing. I did, yeah, I find it's really the core of my PhD research, so I feel bad to fall back on that. But we did identify some some plants that are more cold tolerant, like some vines that are more tolerant than we thought. And for me, that was not necessarily a really big surprise, but it was extremely exciting. Like when we finally were able to prove that some like clone rootstock combination of certain Vitis vinifera were more tolerant than other, that was really exciting because we were able to finally prove it, you know, with like statistical analysis and all these like nitty gritty like scientific tools. And it was cool because the growers around have been telling us forever, like, yes, this plot is more hardy and I don't know why. And it was really nice to be able to say like, hey, it might be just the combination of clone and rootstocks you have together on this site. And that was really, really exciting. And I think the industry was pretty pleased with that too. So it was a really good time.
That's super. Yeah, we looking forward to even more great wine coming out of Canada as you guys are working on this. So we're going to wind this down a little bit, but tell me, is there a wine that you remember as the most memorable wine that you just can remember and think back and go, oh man, that was good? Adrian?
Yeah, there's one, but I feel bad because it's so, it's such a classic, but it's actually the first wine I ever liked. And I think it's funny, I've been thinking all week since you sent us, you told us, you warned us about these questions. I've been thinking about this bottle all week, and it was just a Gewürztraminer. I can't even tell you the producer, but you know, I find wine tasting is about where you are and who you're with. It's not just about the bottle itself. And I was, you know, with my parents and my now husband in Paris, and you know, on the terrace, and it's the first wine I ever loved. And it was, I'm pretty sure it was from Alsace. And yeah, Gewürztraminer, and it was so floral and so aromatic, and it was off dry, and it had everything to really turn someone into a wine lover. So that's my most memorable bottle.
That's super. I know you're right. It's not just the wine; it's where you are, who you're with. What's the temperature? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, your turn.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to top that. I don't think I've never been to Paris before.
Not yet.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when you sent this question too, I was going through my head and trying to think of, you know, those bottles, and I think the one that stood out most to me, but I actually just remembered the variety about a half an hour ago. It was a Portuguese Petit Verdot. And I had it with my partner at a wine bar here in town that we used to go to for happy hour and oysters and such. And they had like a pretty cool wine menu that was, you know, affordable for the most part from like a grad student's perspective, but still really exciting to like, you know, be like, oh, wow, I want to try that. And yeah, I have had very little Portuguese wine, but that bottle, I think, you know, it was one of those ones where we like opened it up, tasted it, and it was just like, we're going to drink this whole thing in like the next like half an hour. This is like almost too good. Like we need to get another one almost afterwards. And, you know, and it's funny because I don't really remember really so much what it tasted like, but again, it was the environment. I think we were there celebrating something, and it just was a restaurant I really liked a lot, and the staff we really came to know, and it just was a very comfortable experience and like a really great bottle of wine.
That's super. Okay, last question. You've graduated. Your family's there cheering you on. You've got your cap and gown and your hood and everything. What's the wine you're going to have that night? Andrew, you got an idea?
Well, I've been saving a bottle. I was talking about my internship, my co-op terms earlier, and I was in Nova Scotia in 2014, and I was at a very famous winery called Benjamin Bridge. I don't know if any heard it before, but they make very famous sparkling wine that are all over the world now. It's really exciting. Even at Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, like it's really fancy now. So I'm really stoked to have been part of their story when they started. Not when they started, but in 2014. And I think I touched every single grape that vintage. I was the only seller hand with the winemakers. It was an amazing experience. And I have a bottle of my Brut from that year, and it just got released like last year, I think, and it might be already sold out. So I got a few bottles, and I have one that I have saved for when I graduate, and I can open it with my family and my husband, and my baby won't get to drink it yet. But
that's fantastic.
Good time.
And Drew?
So for me, it would be Sparkling 2 and Gruner Veltliner. I work a lot with Gruner Veltliner here in Pennsylvania, and I'm always been interested in trying different styles of it. And recently I had a Pet Knot from Austria that to me, it was incredible, and I had never had anything like it. And since then, I've just been fixated on like Pennsylvania Gruner Veltliner sparkling wine production. But I think for me, that would be the fitting end to, 4+ years of working on this grape variety and trying to parse apart its flavors and how to grow it.
That's perfect. I'd love to try one of those sparkling from Pennsylvania, Gruner. That's great. God, both of you, thank you so much for taking time out of your studies to do this with us tonight. Really appreciate it. And I know that everybody watching enjoyed to get to talk to you, and don't be surprised if, at some point on anybody's travels I go, I'm an AWS member, and I was hoping I could meet you in person. Thank you. So the best of luck with you. Best wishes. Hope that everything goes perfectly for you, and you get, your dream job when we're through this.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, now we have Bonnie Lentz is going to introduce our Award of Merit for 2020 winner. Bonnie, give it to you.
Of course. I think we're going to put Carl on the screen as well. All right, I don't see Carl just yet.
I'm trying, Bonnie. Carl, you should be able to see where I'm trying to make you go live. Oh, he should. Pardon us, everybody. 1 minute. Oh, there he is. Carl, I've asked you to start your video and your microphone. I need you to do it on your end.
All right. I don't see him just yet, but I'm hoping he's listening. I'm gonna give it another minute, and then I'll roll with it.
Katie, can you see if you can help on your end?
Yes, ma'am. Let's see.
Oh, there he is.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're all there.
Okay, I'm on.
Perfect. All right. Well, I wanted to take, Carl, we wanted to put you on screen live. As we take this evening, I don't see him anymore, but as we take this evening to honor the memory of Judy Starkloff by posthumously awarding her with the AWSEF Award of Merit for 2020. They always say that behind every great man is a great woman, and Judy definitely fit that bill. She was an incredible behind-the-scenes helper to the AWSEF and was very active with the North Alabama chapter of the American Wine Society, serving as secretary, treasurer, program chairperson, and director during her time. She was the rock that always kept us on track during the national conferences with everything that she did to help, while her husband, Carl, was on the board of trustees. From the simplest detail of being the first person to make you feel comfortable in a session or to include you in a conversation when you're new and don't know anyone, she had a way about her that just made you feel special as she took you under her wing. She was always the person behind the scenes that made everything run smoothly. She never wanted the credit for it, but always took the initiative and was everywhere we needed her to be without even asking for her help. She set up, she watched and promoted the silent auction. She collected and organized our paperwork, our tickets, our money, delivered auction items, took pictures for us at all stages of the auction and meetings so that we had them for later, and so many other things I can't even begin to name. I can clearly remember the very first time that when I became president of the foundation and I had to go on stage for the first time in front of the whole AWS membership. And I was so nervous, but she was the one who talked me through it. And, you know, before I could even do anything, I'd look at her and she'd smile and nod and say it was going to be okay and that I was doing a good job. Besides being active with the AWS and the AWSEF, she was a charter member of the Messiah Lutheran Church, was a member of PEO Chapter Z, where she enjoyed the fellowship of other Christian women in working toward a common goal to further the education and advancement of women through philanthropic projects. She belonged to the Huntsville Newcomers Club, was an antique dealer, and liked to cook, play bridge, and travel, especially on lots of cruises. I know her and Carl loved cruises. She loved to read and belonged to the Highland Lakes Book Club and Bungo Group. We have created a plaque to honor Judy, and we'll be mailing it to Carl so he can have it as a keepsake. She was an amazing person, and we are so grateful for all that she has done for the AWSEF. Thank you, Carl, for letting us bestow this honor on Judy. We will miss her dearly.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. That's beautiful. And yes, we really, I miss Judy a lot personally too. With that, we're at the end of our agenda. If anyone has any items they'd like to add or comments, please put them in the Q&A or the chat and we'll look at them. Otherwise, I'm going to say our time ends at 7:45 and I have 7:44 right now, so we're pretty much on time. Let's adjourn the annual business meeting. And I have one motion to close. Just send me up. Fantastic. Okay. Thank you all so much. Good night.